Hey everyone, it's Bro3, and I'm here in this review for Thunderbolts, the new film directed by Jake Schreier, and starring an ensemble cast that includes Florence Pugh, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Sebastian Stan, David Harbour, Hannah John Kamen, Louis Pullman, Olga Kurylenko, and many, many others. Now, what's very interesting about Thunderbolts is that in recent years, Marvel has gotten under some criticism in terms of the films not really taking chances or taking risks. Pretty much everything since Infinity War and Endgame have been pretty much calculated films, in my personal opinion. And I feel like Thunderbolts is a breath of fresh air in terms of being a kind of risk-taking film within the MCU format. Now, before I continue on with this review, there might be some spoilers. If you don't want to know anything about Thunderbolts, I'll give you the score right away. It's a 9 out of 10. An encapsulated review, in my personal opinion, is that Thunderbolts is a very solid and creative risk in terms of a Marvel film. This is a Marvel movie that is adhering to the Marvel format, but still feels like a director's movie. It still feels like Jake Schreier and his team has been given a lot of reign to kind of explore characters and go a little bit more in depth about what these characters go through in comparison to other Marvel movies that have come in recent past. So again, it's a 9 out of 10. Very solid film. Probably the best dramatic Marvel film since the Infinity War Endgame saga. And yeah, if you don't want to know anything else about this movie, stop this review right now because there's going to be some spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. Now, right off the bat, there's a reason why there's an asterisk next to Thunderbolts, because it's not the real title of this movie, which I found very interesting, and I'll tell you what the real title is at the end of this review. So yeah, what I really appreciated about Thunderbolts, like I said before, is that this feels like a director's film. It actually does feel like a director was given free reign to explore characters, their backstories, the trials and tribulations that they're going through in their personal lives from the beginning of their life till even now while they're being superheroes, and what they're probably going through on a day-to-day basis. We've seen this explored in some of the MCU shows, but in a film format, I haven't really seen that much. And it feels like Thunderbolts was actually a drama that is masked in the MCU format, which I really appreciated and I was very surprised by. The last quarter of this movie, you would think is going to be this big action extravaganza in New York City, and it seems to be set up that way. You see the Void taking over the city, pretty much, plunging it into darkness. And once Florence Pugh's Yelena goes into the darkness, she, alongside the Void, played by Louis Pullman, who's also nicknamed Bob here, he seems to be making a Bob universe here with his Top Gun character now in Thunderbolts. But once they go into the Void, they explore the psychological trauma they've received over the years, and that was so surprising to me. Again, that last sequence in this film, the last 20 minutes or so, is pretty much like Marvel's Inception, because they keep going into different rooms or mind rooms that are exploring, traumatic events and, troubling times that they've gone through in their personal lives. And that was very interesting because, again, for a big film of this kind of nature, you would think it's going to be this mega, big time action sequence and action set piece. And the trailers kind of set it up like that. But at the end of this film, I was really surprised that it was actually a character study into what bothers these individuals. And I really appreciated that we actually got to know a little bit more about them, the things that are troubling them, the things that are kind of bothering them on a day-to-day basis. Superheroes have tough times too. It's kind of, glanced over in some of these movies because, again, Marvel kind of wants to throw in jokes here and there. And there's still jokes in this movie. There's still the trademark things that you would find in a Marvel film. There's the jokes, there's the, catchphrases, there's those action set pieces where, in the middle of the fight, they will have a bickering kind of argument between each other. But in the last 20 minutes or so, I felt like this was a director's movie and they actually wanted to say something rather than just kind of adhering to the blueprint that Marvel has made so far in all of the films that they've done in each and every single phase. The performances here are very solid. I felt like because when you have talented individuals like a Florence Pugh here in your cast, you kind of want to go into a dramatic format because, again, action has been done to death in the Marvel films. It's going to be hard for us to see something that will wow us in terms of, being something so path-breaking in an action set piece. Because, again, after Endgame, everything is kind of just oh, this character appears in this movie, or this character is kind of helping out in this certain sequence. I think that's the only wow factor that we can have now. But what wowed me was the dramatic portions of this film. Again, there is some sort of levity here, and that was so surprising for an MCU film. And it kind of reminded me that, again, MCU movies could be a little bit more darker and they could be a little bit more human. And I felt like, again, Thunderbolts is probably the most human Marvel film in quite a while. I can't really remember off the top of my head another Marvel movie that had human drama like this movie. And it's thanks to all the performances here. They're all a little bit more layered and a little bit more focused in comparison to some of their previous performances in the other projects that they've been involved with in the MCU. The only negative that I had about this movie is that it kind of felt like a overlong TV episode. It just felt like there was something missing here. I don't know what I can say that was missing, but it just felt like I was watching an episode of a series, if that makes any sense. I still enjoyed this film. I thought that it was a very solid drama that's masked in MCU action, but I still felt like it felt like a part of a miniseries rather than a film. But either way, as an introduction to this new team, which happens to be the New Avengers, which is the actual title of this movie. So at the end of the film, near the end credits, after the end credits, before the mid-credit scene, they announced that this film is actually the New Avengers, and it seems like they're going to be teaming up with the old Avengers and Doomsday. I don't know what's going to happen in the next film. I have no context as to what might be happening in Doomsday, but yeah, this is a good introduction to this team. And again, it kind of reminded me of watching James Gunn's Suicide Squad and portions of Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of seeing a team that felt a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more relatable, and just felt a little bit more human. Even though there's superpowers involved, it felt like you can relate to the stuff that they're going through, and they actually are human when they actually go deep down their memory paths and recognizing some of the things that they've gone through. You're kind of taken aback. And again, like I said before, this could have easily been a drama that could have been outside the MCU, but I really appreciated that MCU made a film in this kind of nature. So yeah, it's a 9 out of 10, very solid surprise, and I think you all enjoy it. So once you've seen the film, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Thunderbolts.